Greetings. Today I'm doing a video on setting up the Q menu in the Panasonic S5. This is just a project for myself that I'm doing a set of videos. As I go further along, I'm learning more about the camera, and in the Q menu what I want to select to have in the Q menu so I can select them quickly. Also, we have the option on the rear dial for the up and down press and side to side to also allocate certain functions, and I'll show that as well. And lastly, the joystick on the back. I set this to manual assist focus. I'll just show that quickly. And I have my focus peaking on here. I'll just press it in, and you can see here it's zoomed into the object, and I can just roll it back and have a portion of the magnification there, but if I roll it to the right, it fills the whole screen. So I'll put that back, and I'll show how to set that later. So if I press on the Q menu now, this is for video, this is how I've set it up, and as I go further along I'm starting to change the functions that I want, and this is really personal preference how people want to set up their own camera. So on the top left there we can see I have the stabilization, next the E-stabilization, across have the record quality. So I've been using 1080p a lot, 8-bit, it's actually quite nice. And if you have the Panasonic, we know we have the option of 10-bit 422 and also 4K and 4K cinema. Next I have the sound recording level adjustment. So if I click on here, it's set to minus 12 dB. I've been using a wireless microphone and hooking it up here, adjusting the microphone, but if I need to adjust it, I have the option here in the Q menu. Next, the focus peaking, I'll just turn that off so we can see. So if I turn that back on, there's our focus peaking, and that's on the maximum level that I could set it to. I've set it to green for this example, for no particular reason, I've just set it to green. Next, the Boost IS. So I have all three set here for the image stabilization if I want to access them. Next, the photo grid lines. If I just select that, we can see the grid coming up there. Hopefully it's showing up on the video, and I'll just turn that off. Next, have the photo styles. So we can see here the photo styles, and if I scroll through, if I want to choose natural or come across and select or vlog, I have the option in here. Turn it back to standard. Next, the image area, and I can just scroll across and select APS-C and pixel to pixel if I want to use that. So here we have the waveform and vector scope. I'll just turn that on. You can see there on the screen, and we can move its position if necessary. So I'll just turn that back off. Here the zebra patterns to help with exposure. And here on the bottom right, the luminance spot meter. So that's what I've set in my menu. Next I'll come to the rear dial, and I'll just press up. I've set this to the picture profile, so if I want to change the saturation, contrast, or any of the settings within the standard picture profile, I can access them quickly and just change them. To the right, I've got the focus peaking sensitivity, you can see there. And if I press down, the histogram, so I can drag that around the screen to where I want it. And once I have my exposure, I can just take it off quickly off the screen, and it's much cleaner. And to the left, I've set up high dynamic range, so I'll just go to low, standard and high, so you can see what's happening. And I'll just turn that to off. Now I'll switch it over to the movie mode. We'll start setting up selections so we can save them to a custom button. So I'll change it over to the movie mode here. So I have this set to shutter angle. I'm not going to cover all the settings here, but just setting up the Q menu. So I'm going to press the menu set button here. And on the cog here, want to come down, and on the third one down we have Q menu settings. So we have the option here to change the layout style. I'll leave it on mode 1 and there's mode 2 there. I want to come down to item customize video. So I'll select there. What I'm going to do is where the histogram is right now, I'll select something else and we'll save the settings to custom 3. So I'm going to hit menu, and for this we'll select zebra patterns. So they help with exposure. So I'll select that. So if I press the shutter button to come out and hit the Q menu, now we can see our zebra patterns are set to the top left. I'll just select another one. So back into the Q menu, back down to customize video. I'll come to the recording levels and I'll select that, and we'll choose image area of video. So I'll select that. Now that's selected, I'll hit the shutter button, go back in the Q menu, and if I come down, image area of video. And it's personal preference how you set up your Q menu. So now that we've selected 2, I'm going to save this. I'll hit the menu button again, come down to the wrench icon here, come across, want to come down to the cog and where it says save to custom mode. I'm going to select C3-3 and that's where the settings will be placed. So I'll select that. As it says, overwrite current camera settings to below. Then I'll hit set, and that's complete. So now I'll switch over to C3. I'll hit menu, and it's already on C3-3. So you have 3 options here in custom 3. So I've set it to the third one. I'll select that. Now I've hit the Q menu. We can see here our image areas there. If we go to the top, there's our zebra patterns. So that's how you set the Q menu to a custom function. Now on the rear dial, we have the option to select certain functions to the up and down press and side to side. So I'm going to long press up and it brings up options. So I'm going to scroll up and we'll choose histogram. And now if I press up, we have the histogram option there, so we can drag that along. So if I press up again, it removes it off the screen and gives us a clear screen. Next I'll do a long press down for another example. So a long press down, and this time as eye dynamic range, I'll just select that. And now if I press down, it gives us the option there, it's set to off, low, standard, high, and I'll just turn that off. So now that I've set that, I need to go back and save them settings again to C3. So I'll go back into the menu, come down to the wrench icon, come across down to the cog, save to custom mode, click there, and it's still on C3-3. So I'm going to set that, and again, overwrite current camera settings to below. I'll click yes, and that's complete. So now if I change it over to C2, my normal video mode, and I want to select the C3 function that I've just set up, I'll click it back to C3, and we can see here we're on C3-3. Hit the menu, there's our zebra patterns, our image area that we chose. So if I press up, it will bring up the histogram again. You can drag that around. Press up again to remove it to give us a cleaner screen. If I press down, our eye dynamic range. So that's how to set up the rear dial. And lastly, how to set up the joystick to set it for manual assist. So at the moment, if I press it in, it just recenters the focus position. So if I come back here and focus on the rear on the object, and if I press it in, it centers the focus area. If I turn the ring here, focus ring, it zooms into the object. And if I turn to the right, it gives us full screen. But for myself, I want to use the rear joystick to be able to use that as the manual assist focus to zoom in. And as well, this is a personal preference. So I go into the menu, down to the cog, come down to autofocus, click across where it says manual assist. So I'll press set, and it's set to focus ring by default, so I want to turn that off. Next it says AF mode, I want to turn that off as well. And I want to have the press joystick set to on. Also the display, you can also set it to full or partial, but I'm going to leave it on full. Now that's set, I'll press the joystick in, and now we have it set to full screen. And if I just want to have partial, I can roll it to the left. Need to go in and save this setting to C3 once again. So I'll hit set. Let's come down to the wrench icon. Once again, down to the cog. Save to custom mode. C3-3. And again, same settings. Yes, I want to overwrite. So now that's complete. If I change it again to C2, and now back to C3, the one we just set up, and if I press on the joystick on the rear, now we have that manual assist focus on full screen. And if I roll that back, the partial. As I said earlier, these are projects for myself. As I go along, learning more about the Panasonic S5 and the functions I want to set to customize these dials. Peace be unto you.